We're going to review another mock draft. This one's a 2-rounder. It's written by Field Yates from ESPN. We're going to look at the landing spots for Dynasty Fantasy Football and imagine the player values that's from this draft. On top of that, we're going to cover all the picks. So if you're looking to see what your NFL team is doing, stick with me. I'm going to cover the whole draft. But before we do all that, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we are going to get you ready for the NFL draft and we're going to get you set for your rookie drafts. But looking at these mock drafts gives us an idea of what the market could look like with the actual NFL draft and give us a good feeling of what landing spots could affect certain players. Hit that button, stop missing out. But we're going to start things off with the mock draft. Here is Field Yates' 2-round mock draft. I think this is his first 2-rounder. I'm not really a big fan of Field Yates. I feel like he's just giving you cookie cutter analysis on television every day, and I just do not buy it. I'm not here for that. I kind of skip over him a lot. But Chicago Bears, with the first pick, drafts Caleb Williams. What do you expect? That's going to happen 99.9% of mock drafts. That's just what the Bears are into right now. I do not see them trading out of the pick. They're locked in with Caleb Williams. You can argue in the comments if you want, but you better have some facts because I don't see anybody else having anything else to really argue with unless there's a big trade. Jaden Daniels to the Commanders. It's between him and Drake Maye. We also know that. When we look at the value here, the Commanders is not a bad spot for a top-tier quarterback prospect in the draft. I'm saying like 101, 102 draft pick-wise. And I feel like they got some weapons for the transition. I feel like in rookie drafts, you're seeing them go like 103, 104. Definitely behind Marvin Harrison Jr., but Malik Nabers could sneak in ahead of him. Or Drake Maye. But this is not a bad landing spot. It's not incredible, but it's not bad. It could be much worse. Talking about much worse, what about the Patriots? What about Drake Maye? Drake Maye does have an arm on him. He can sling it downfield. He's a guy we've been looking at getting in the first round of the NFL draft for a few years now. Now that time is happening. The Patriots have to rebuild, retool. They got to get their quarterback. They're not going to mess around. They're either going to get him or Jaden Daniels. Whoever goes to the Patriots will get faded a little bit in rookie drafts, but not much. Still a top 5, top 6 pick. They're still going to get that draft capital. Moving on to the 104 here. We're keeping things basic. Marvin Harrison Jr. going to the Cardinals. With him going to the Cardinals, Kyler Murray gets his top-end wide receiver. They get a generational prospect. Marquise Brown's gone. They have to fix the position now. Marvin Harrison Jr. can help them out right now because that's the type of prospect he is. Moving down, we got trades here. We got trades. So, the Vikings sneak up there. They get J.J. McCarthy. So, for Dynasty Fantasy Football, J.J. McCarthy has Justin Jefferson. He has Hawk. He has Jordan Addison. He has weapons. If he does not hit in Minnesota, he's not going to hit at all. That's the thing. They got enough pieces there to where a J.J. McCarthy, if he's meant to be, he's going to be meant to be. In rookie drafts, 106, 107, maybe even ahead of Drake Maye in some leagues. Whoever has their preference for him, they're going to shoot their shot. If they like Justin Jefferson or they already got Justin Jefferson, they may be going after that stack. I don't suggest that as a strategy. I'd be looking at the board. I would not draft him ahead of Malik Nabers here. But I understand, especially if your league holds quarterbacks over a barrel. If they hold quarterbacks over a barrel and you need quarterback, you're in a position, or you want that chip, go ahead because you got to play strategy here. It's a game. It's a game. Moving on to our next pick. Malik Nabers to the Giants. And they need that alpha wide receiver. They also need other positions. Maybe offensive tackle here. But here they went with the Giants. For Dynasty Fantasy Football, you're still drafting him high. You expect him to go to a spot like this. Nabers is going to give them an alpha. We got Robinson there, who you can put in the slot. We also got Jalen Hyatt, who can stretch the field. We also got some other jabroni wide receivers. But Nabers could add something to this offense. Titans go Joe Alt. 90% of mock drafts, he goes to the Titans. The Falcons go Dallas Turner. He goes to the Falcons on 90% of the drafts. Next one. Chicago Bears go Romo Dunze. Do they have to go wide receiver? Do they have to go wide receiver? They made moves here. They got DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. Do they have to go wide receiver? It feels pretty trendy to do this. And getting a young wide receiver, that's something they probably should think about. This is also a very deep draft. They can catch a wide receiver of good quality second and third round this year. This is one of the deepest wide receiver classes of all time. There's a lot of other good players on the board at other positions. Why not dabble into that? Dynasty Fantasy Football, if you're in on Caleb Williams, you should be in on Romo Dunze. Romo Dunze should not be moving here in this spot. For Dynasty Fantasy Football Rookie Draft, should be in the middle of the first round in Superflex, a little higher in 1 QB. Next pick off the board at 10, Brock Bowers. And of course, Aaron Rodgers needs another weapon. He can get you yards after the catch. He is a huge piece to this offense. You also got Garrett Wilson there. You're adding pieces here. You got Breece Hall. On Dynasty Fantasy Football terms, top end pick. He's one of the top guys there that people are looking to draft. You might fade him due to strategy at the tight end position, but somebody's going to draft him up in your league. Whether it's you or not, that's our strategy here. We may pivot, but he's going to be getting drafted high in Dynasty at the spot. Top 10 pick at the tight end position. Getting a quarterback can get you yards after the catch. Can he hit in his first year? That is the big question. Moving on. Chargers go offensive tackle. The Denver Broncos don't care. They get a quarterback. They get Bo Nix. Can he transition? Can he build with this team? The Broncos are retooling at wide receiver. They got to get some players there. Look for them to get some wide receivers in the draft. Look for them to bring some other bodies in there. But Bo Nix is their guy. Rookie draft value, super flex, Will Levis value, or maybe a shade better. 110 to 202 range, 203 range, somewhere in there, like we saw with Will Levis last year. Are you pulling the trigger? It really depends on how your league values quarterbacks. If they hold quarterbacks over a barrel, and if you got one, it's like having gold, whether it's the best quarterback in the league or a rando jabroni that gets a few starts. If that random jabroni in week 6 who gets a start or two holds value and you can flip for a second round pick, then you may be looking at Bo Nix pretty heavy. You're probably salivating at that chip, and you're probably drafting him outside of that first tier players that ends at Brock Bowers. You're probably looking at him there, and it really depends on your league. 1 QB league, you're fading him a bit. Second, third round range. Superflex is where the strategy is going to be at. Moving on to the 13th pick here, the Raiders go offensive tackle. This is a deep offensive line class. It's up there with the wide receiver position in depth. So look for these teams to really spam the offensive line position. Saints go offensive tackle. Colts go Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback Toledo. I've seen him mocked there a few times in a lot of different drafts. He's been having a hell of an off season, hell of a draft season. His stock has been going up there. He's got the Senior Bowl bump. Looked good at the Combine. I like him a lot, but everybody else does, so no big deal. Guard goes to Seattle at 16. Cornerback goes to the Jaguars at 17. Brian Thomas Jr. to the Bengals. So if that T. Higgins contract goes rough, they got their replacement. They got another LSU wide receiver to add to the team, and he can stretch the field. This will help Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Most mock drafts have them going offensive line, and I think offensive line should be the move. You can catch offensive line in the second round, in the third round, and still get quality there, but you can say the same thing about wide receiver. But Brian Thomas does give you something that a lot of the other second and third round wide receivers won't. That's pop off the step on the release. That's getting downfield. That's the ball skills. That's the tracking. And then the marriage with Jamar Chase is good because he can stretch the field with that 4.3 speed. That can make this offense very scary with Joe Burrow. He's a first round pick in rookie draft, being drafted at 18 overall, going to a quarterback that will push it downfield. And then Higgins is going to be looking over his shoulder. And in fantasy football, we're going to be looking over our shoulders at Higgins, knowing when the move is going to happen, because this move suggests something else is going to happen. Moving down to 19, Chop Robinson to the Rams here. At 20, the Steelers go with a center. Dolphins go with Byron Murphy. Falls in this mock a little bit compared to other mocks. Nate Wiggins to the Eagles. I'm going to catch an Eagles fan in the comments. They're not going to like that pick. They do not like cornerbacks going in the first round of their drafts or even second. I'll tell you that much right now. Chargers, we got trades galore. They get A.D. Mitchell. They get some speed downfield. They get a deep threat. Him and Quentin Johnston drafted in a similar range of the draft. A.D. Mitchell can create separation with route running. He has some burst. He has some length. This is a good wide receiver for Justin Herbert because Herbert throws it deep. He likes to stretch it. And A.D. Mitchell needs a quarterback like Justin Herbert. And I feel good with Mitchell going with a Herbert or a Josh Allen or something like that. I think this is going to be a great matchup. First round pick in rookie drafts. Going to be pushing with that top tier from like 101 to 106 range around that Bowers area. And people may bump them up into that range as well. And I would not hate it. Next pick coming off the board. Looks like the Cowboys trade out, which may not happen. They may trade up, maybe back a couple spots, but I look for them to spam offensive line this year. But the Niners go Marius Mims, offensive tackle. Packers go offensive tackle as well with Guyton. I don't see the Cowboys making this deal with 2 tackles on the board. That is a huge need for them. I just don't see that being realistic. I feel like this is a big miss on his mock draft. And usually his mock drafts and his analysis is trash. Latu edge going to the Buccaneers. I'm making sure, I'm double checking myself, make sure I didn't miss a pick there. Moving on to 27. Burst edge to the Cardinals. Falls a little bit in this mock draft, but it is what it is. And the Buffalo Bills goes with Xavier Worthy. So they get some speed. And Josh Allen getting a wide receiver who can stretch the field, who has elite speed. And now that Stephon Diggs is gone, this could be a good piece for this offense. And they're going to be spamming wide receivers. That's what they're going to do. They're going to keep drafting wide receivers until they get it right. Expect for them to draft 2 or 3 wide receivers. An early rounder, a mid-rounder, and a late rounder. Maybe 2 early guys and a late rounder. They're going to add to this class. They're going to add to this team. And there's plenty of wide receivers in this draft class to really smooth things over. Especially in the next year or so. If you keep spamming this class and maybe next year's class, they're going to be alright. They're not going to be hurting too bad at wide receiver if they make the right picks. Detroit Lions, 29. Cooper DeJean at cornerback. Next pick here, 30 overall, offensive tackle for the Ravens. Cowboys get their offensive tackle. Like I said, they're going to be spamming offensive line. They pick up more draft capital. They need to add more players on the cheap, so maybe this is the better deal for them. But they lost some quality at the offensive tackle spot. Moving down at 32. And the Chiefs do not draft a wide receiver. They might change their mind after Rashee Rice scenario there. But they also got Hollywood Brown, so now they're more flexible here. Let's move on to the second round. We got trades coming up. First pick, Tennessee Titans go edge. Next pick, Patriots go Xavier Legette. They get a big physical wide receiver with good size and just athleticism. He's going to fall in drafts probably in the latter part of the second round of rookie drafts, considering there's going to be a big run of running backs in the middle to early part of the second round. Moving on down to 35 here, and the Cardinals go with a center/guard. Another trade coming down in the works as we're scrolling. Raiders go with Michael Penix, a very cerebral quarterback prospect who's very accurate downfield. He's going to be a fun mix here. A good developmental quarterback. Might have more upside than what you think. And for Dynasty rookie drafts and Superflex, Will Levis range, because he's in the Will Levis range of the draft. We got some players here where he can sling the rock to. Might be all right. You're looking at like 201 range, 111, 112, 110 at the highest. But 201, 202, 203 is what you're seeing at Superflex. It really depends on the strategy of your league. We already touched base on that. So scroll back to Bo Nix when we talked about him. Los Angeles Chargers go with center. I said that weird, but we're rolling. Panthers go with Ricky Pearsall. I think this is a good addition to the team. He gives the team something different. A very explosive wide receiver with good ball skills. Creates separation. You're going to catch him at a good value in rookie drafts because he's going to catch that Panthers discount. If Bryce Young is for real, then Pearsall will hit. And if Bryce Young can take a step forward, then Pearsall will hit. Because Pearsall has some goods to his game. He's also getting good draft capital for a wide receiver. The odds are going to be in his favor for him to do something. Panthers also go with a cornerback. The Commanders go with Keon Coleman. They're going to get them a big physical wide receiver with ball skills. Stack him up with Jaden Daniels. You also got Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin there. He gives them something different. McLaurin can stretch the field. Jahan Dotson can be moved around a little bit. I think this is a good fit for fantasy. You're fading him a little bit. He'll go in the middle of the second round somewhere of rookie drafts. Moving on down, at 41, Packers go with linebacker. 42, the Texans go defensive tackle. At 43, cornerback to the Falcons. At 44, offensive tackle to the Commanders. At 45, cornerback to the Saints. 46, Ladd McConkey to the Colts. I'm fading him in Dynasty rookie drafts. Just fading him. I think he's great for the Colts here. But Michael Pittman's going to command around a 30% target share. We have a quarterback transition there. We also got Josh Downs. I feel like there's not going to be enough opportunity for him to be consistent, for him to have upside here in this situation. I'm fading him in rookie drafts. Also, a lot of teams passed on him and drafted other wide receivers, letting us know they like those wide receivers better. For the Colts, I think this is a good pick. You're getting something with upside here. You're getting a nuanced wide receiver who can create separation. Fantasy football-wise, a little bit different. Moving on down to our next pick here. The Giants go cornerback. Jaguars go edge. At 49, Bengals go offensive tackle. So they're going to try and keep Joe Burrow upright. At 50, linebacker to the Eagles. Steelers go with Roman Wilson. I've said this before in some other videos. I feel like Roman Wilson is like the perfect fit for the Steelers. We got speed. We got burst. We create separation. More of a lunch pail wide receiver. Also for fantasy football, I'm up on him. I'll jump him up in the second round of rookie drafts. Too low in the draft to go in the first round because I feel like a running back's going to jump up there. We got some quarterback values in Superflex. Maybe in one QB. Really depends on what happens with the rest of the draft. I have to look at the rest of the players as well. But I'm jumping him up in the second round. I feel like he's in a good spot with Pittsburgh, and I like how he plays, and I feel like he'll be a great fit. Defensive tackle to the Rams, safety to the Eagles, Trey Benson to the Browns, and they do need to add depth and talent to the running back position. We do not know how Nick Chubb's going to be for the long term, his availability and everything else. They need more bodies, they need more upside, they need to be built better for the long term. This makes sense. Also, you're going to catch them at a good discount in rookie drafts. Really depends. If you got a team or if you got a manager in your league who's very aggressive at running backs, he might jump up there in the first round or early part of the second round. Really depends. But moving on down, Dolphins go guard. The Cowboys go Jonathan Brooks. Dynasty, he's going to go through the roof. People are looking at the Dallas Cowboys running back position, and they're going to add some value to that. He's going to be drafted in the first round, 201, 202, 203 at the latest, but he's not going to go in the middle of the second round, even with the ACL, considering it an ACL discount, because if he was fully healthy, he'd be getting drafted 105. He'd be getting drafted ahead of some of those first-round wide receivers. Brooks going to the Cowboys, he's going to catch a lot of buzz. People are going to pay up for that. And for the Cowboys, they're getting a running back. They need a running back. And he's going to be looked upon as more of a 2025 play, maybe back end of 2024. They might get another running back. They're also looking at getting some veterans. But still, they got to do something here. Bucks go guard. Packers go safety. Texans go linebacker. Bills go defensive tackle. Detroit Lions go Jalen Polk. He's going to stretch the field. I look for Amon-Ra St. Brown to not get touched. I look for him to get his targets still. It's really going to be hard to buy into Jalen Polk, though, because you're getting a lot of targets going to the tight end. Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to get a 25 to 30% target share or more. Jameson Williams is just going to be a field stretcher. Polk's going to have some games here and there. If he can get on the field, get opportunities, and run routes, he'll be more of a splash play candidate than a guy that you're going to hold steady to. Next, 62, edge for the Ravens. Theo Johnson to the 49ers, getting some upside at the tight end spot, getting some athleticism to go with George Kittle for rookie drafts. you're going to fade him in like the 3rd round. That's where he's going to go. Somewhere in the 3rd round, that's where he's going to get drafted at. And at that price tag, that's when I want to go after tight ends anyways. I don't see him getting drafted in the 2nd round. I think the 3rd round is fine if you want to draft a tight end. And once you get in the 3rd round of this year's rookie drafts, that's when things get a little bit weird. So if you like him in the 3rd round, I think you're good to go. If he goes in the 2nd, I do not see that happening, especially after this pick here. At 64, Troy Franklin goes to the Chiefs. The fantasy football community will go nuts. The dynasty market will go nuts. It looks like the big draft is fading Troy Franklin, but Big Draft on Twitter loves Troy Franklin. We got to see what the NFL likes about him. Maybe he caught wind the NFL doesn't like Troy Franklin, or he's flat out wrong. But if he goes to the Chiefs, he's going to catch a lot of value. He's going to flirt with 1st round value, early 2nd round value. He's got a lot of upside. I like Troy Franklin in dynasty rookie drafts, but this was Field Yates' mock draft. He did 2 rounds. We got a good look at some players, some values. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.